Welcome to the BullCast podcast.
Oh, you sound so presidential, Katie.
That's Madam President to you.
Well, what the heck does that make me? Vice President? No,
Chief of Staff.
I don't want to be Vice President. Everybody knows the Vice President doesn't have any actual power.
I think Chief of Staff wins it. Sounds pretty good.
Well, sure. Why not? Wow. Sounds like one of our founding fathers might be dinging on the old Liberty Bell.
Oh, and what a beautiful sound it is. So, we're changing it up because, the world's kind of crazy right now.
The world is crazy right now, and what we know all of our listeners really want to listen to right now is more talk about politics.
Ugh. Well, so you're hearing this, and this is dropping on the Thursday before a pretty important time.
Yes.
I mean, you got Halloween right after that.
Yeah.
But then Tuesday, there's something really big happening on Tuesday.
Yeah,
you know what it is?
5 days after this podcast, the most important day in American history, if not world history.
And of course, we're talking about our birthdays. Yes, we said ours because not only are we co-hosts, but we actually share a birthday.
Yes, we do.
November 3rd, Team Scorpio. I mean, I still wish that my birthday had been on Halloween, which surprisingly one of our coworkers does actually have a Halloween birthday.
I don't. I'll just leave it at that. I don't. I like Halloween fine, but I'm not one of those that's I don't feel like I missed out on it by not having my birthday on Halloween.
No. Well, so obviously we have to admit, so our birthday is, or should we say, the presidential election is sharing its day with our birthday.
That is exactly how I would put that.
Which, I mean, it's happened a lot over my life that we've had the presidential election on our birthday.
Yeah, and look, I guess, listen, right now, before we get too far along in this and lose a bunch of people.
Yep.
We are having fun with this episode, ladies and gentlemen. You have probably heard everything you can possibly hear about all of the political candidates and all of the political fallout from all of the different political things that could happen next Tuesday. We're not here to inform you on that. We're here strictly to have fun today. So don't shut us off. Give us a second. Maybe we'll draw you in with our magic.
Yes. But if you are interested in learning a little bit more about the election, we do want to drop this knowledge for you. Back in September, David Pickler put together a virtual forum. Mm-hmm. It was called 2020 Election and Beyond. And it is about the November election, what to expect, how it's going to impact the markets. You can check it out on our website, and that's Pickler Wealth Advisors. That's advisors with
an O.
PicklerWealthAdvisors.com. And so when you click on that, Cameron has put together a gorgeous website, and it's right there at the top on the banner. You can click and take a look at that video because David really breaks it down and explains all of the history and the ins and outs of election. He's not going one way or the other. It is just straight down the middle, facts. So if you are interested in the election, then check that out. But that is not what Cort and I are doing today. We are having fun talking about our birthday presents.
So our top 5 for this week, obviously, is going to be the top 5 things that our listeners can buy us for our birthday. No, just kidding. Seriously, folks, we are going to avoid any real discussion of politics today. We did initially break this episode as being an episode where we would talk about the effect that the election would have on stock markets and so forth. But David did it earlier than us and did a far more thorough job than we could do in the 30 minutes to an hour that we try to allot to this podcast. So we're just going to leave that alone. And today we're going to talk to you about our favorite pop culture portrayals of presidents, both fictional and also the actual historical guys. We're not even going to give you a financial topic. So if you just are chomping at the bit every week to hear the financial topics from us, I'm sorry. This week it's going to be all about the fun times.
Yes. Okay, so people who have played presidents in TVs and movies, this is a big deal. So you talk about, I mean, I'm not an actor, but I know you've dabbled in that world, and I know Cameron has as well, I feel like this is a big deal when you have been asked to be a president in a TV or movie. It's a big deal. There's not a lot of actors who have done this.
Well, not only that, but just generally speaking, to play a real person is a real challenge for a lot of actors. So yeah, I mean, playing anybody who is a historical figure is obviously going to be difficult. Certainly, playing somebody like a president who not just a few folks know about, but everybody in the country knows about the president, and everybody in the world knows about the president. Then you're talking about a major scale historical figure, and you're tasked with portraying that person realistically. Yeah, that could be
it's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
So, I mean, all of the presidents that we've had, all of them have been in some form of movie, for the exception of two, our current one, which, it's going to happen at some point. And then number 10, John Tyler. He was actually President Harrison's VP. And when Harrison died in 1841, he became the president. So I guess, I don't know how he missed the bid to get to be in a movie, but they skipped over him. I think he was actually in a TV show.
Well, or a play? Did he maybe somebody portray him in a play?
I think so.
Okay. Anyway, he wasn't in a movie. But he was vice president. He was not elected for a second term,
no,
or a follow-up term. I don't even know what you. He was not reelected when it came time for the election, so he just served out that one term, and then he was gone, and then it just may not have been enough coverage. But every other single president that we have ever had, other than him and the current president, number 45, everybody else has been portrayed in some form or fashion in a movie.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, like we said, it's kind of rare to be a president in a film. It's a big deal. Only 5 actors have actually played a president over 3 times, and 14 have only played him twice. So it doesn't necessarily mean they were playing the same person. Which, okay, fun fact, I have to say, the whole, 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, all of that. Well, I do remember hearing this story of how I am, in a way, related to Andrew Johnson.
Okay.
And, he was the 17th president. Throwing that little history back there, in case you didn't know, Cort. But my great-grandmother was I think he was either her brother or her cousin. I don't know exactly the lineage, but still, that's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So who are you related to, then?
I don't know. Nobody special that I'm aware of.
Okay, well, if you're related to a president, then call me, because I need a new replacement for my co-host.
Wow.
Only related to presidents can be on the show.
It down, huh?
Yeah.
Man, getting an attitude, lady.
Well, if we're throwing it down, then why don't we start talking about some of our favorite real presidents portrayed in movies and TV shows? We don't do it in any particular order, but let's just start talking about some of them.
Well, I mean, we can throw a couple out there. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, the bottom line is, at the end of the day today, you will know who after all the chips fall, after all the dice have been thrown, after all the dominoes have toppled, you will know who the greatest president of all time in pop culture was. You just understand that we are going to give you that by the end of this episode. But we're going to start with a little teaser. These are not your fictional presidents. These are your real life presidents. Favorite portrayal of a real life president for me ever? Probably Lincoln. Probably Daniel Day-Lewis's Lincoln. Daniel Day-Lewis won an Oscar for it. It was just a great performance. I have an interesting anecdote about this. I was talking to someone who, I can't remember exactly the context of the conversation, but I was talking to a person, and we had been discussing how great the movie Abraham Lincoln was.
That was fantastic.
Yeah, that Lincoln was this fantastic movie, and he says, and we moved on to the topic of some other movie, and whatever the movie was in question, it was a movie about a British historical person. Mm-hmm. And the guy was like, yeah, well, Brits don't really like that movie because it's an American playing an important British historical figure and whatever. And I was like, that's we just had a guy that won an Oscar who was British playing one of our
playing Lincoln,
playing one of the biggest deal presidents we've ever had.
Penny. Come on.
And they're getting bent because some American actor played one of their historical figures. I don't get it. And the guy I was talking to goes, "Wait a second, Daniel Day-Lewis is British?" And I was like, "Yeah."
Means he's a good actor. People don't know.
It blew my mind that God didn't know that.
Well, I mean, I introduced this category and you just went boom with one of the best. I mean, come on. You gotta tease him a little bit and then go to the big. I mean, everything else we talk about is just gonna be like, oh yeah, well, but Daniel Day-Lewis and
I gotta drop it like it's hot, baby.
Okay, well, let's talk about Bryan Cranston as LBJ. All the way, the play that he won a Tony Award for, and then they ended up making it into an HBO movie. I mean, Bryan Cranston. Most people think of him and they think of Breaking Bad.
Yeah, which is what I'm thinking of right now.
Well, no,
Breaking Bad.
But LBJ. So, I mean, very cool. I think that's cool to see a character that we have kind of typecast in our minds as a particular role, and for him to then be able to be someone that was a part of our history. Okay,
just to throw this out there, I realize that he Breaking Bad is gonna be his iconic role forever and ever and ever. His performance as LBJ was a Tony Award-winning performance on Broadway. It was an outstanding performance. It deserves recognition as well. But let's not forget his humble beginnings as the father in Malcolm in the Middle.
Oh, yes.
That was a comedic tour de force.
Yeah, that was a good one. Okay, well, here's another one that you wouldn't really expect to be playing a president, but did a really great job. Mr. Anthony Hopkins.
Again, I know it's another British guy, and it's a knight. It's Sir Anthony Hopkins who played
Hannibal Lecter. I mean, come on, all of these things. But in this, he played two different presidents actually.
Okay.
He played Nixon and John Quincy Adams.
Okay. Wait. He played Nixon in like Nixon, but what did he play John Quincy Adams in? Amistad.
Yes, that's what it was.
Okay. Yep. I am going to admit that I have not ever seen that movie.
I haven't either, but just from searching for this episode, he saw a little clip of it, and I mean, it was just amazing. Of course, do you put it past Anthony Hopkins? He can do anything, I swear.
I mean, again, he's one of those. He's an example of an actor who has really. I can think of very few performances by him that I would classify as bad, if any. I mean, he's been in some stinker of a movie before, sure, but just like performances, I can't think of any off the top of my head that are just like, wow, he really phoned that one in.
For the most part, if I see his name on a billing for a movie, then I'm like, okay, yeah, I need to go see that. It's gonna be good. Okay, John Adams, Paul Giamatti.
Yeah.
HBO series.
Yeah, and it's interesting because okay. Again, admission time, I haven't actually seen John Adams. I do need to watch it. It's one of those shows that's kind of on my list. Is like, okay, I need to watch that.
After a book, right?
Yeah. It was based on a book. But I, as all of our faithful listeners are aware, I have been recently listening to and actually just finished.
Oh, here we go.
The book on Hamilton, the biography of Hamilton called Hamilton. And it's made quite clear in that book that Hamilton and John Adams did not get along. They not. I mean, they did not get along at all. They were technically both in the same political party.
I mean, you and I are about to not get along if you keep talking about Hamilton.
Well, I mean, I'm just using it for some context here. John Adams was the second president.
I'll give
of the
it to
United
you.
States.
Talking about Hamilton, we're talking about presidents.
Thank you.
It makes sense. We're roping. Okay.
John Adams was the second president of the United States. He, of course, came after Washington. Washington stepped down after his second term, famously, because there was no constitutional requirement that the president step down after 2 terms, but Washington felt like it was important to step down after 2 terms. Mm-hmm. John Adams ran and won the election. But basically, he got it in his head that Hamilton was out to sabotage his political career, and so he basically hated Hamilton and thought Hamilton was a terrible, terrible person, and Hamilton thought that Adams was a tool. So, I mean, having that going through my head, just from knowing Adams from the perspective of Hamilton and what Hamilton thought of him, I'm interested to now go into the series of John Adams with Paul Giamatti and see if that portrayal of him makes me more with Adams than I am currently inclined to.
Okay, well, one of my favorite presidents, JFK. Mm-hmm. I mean, I do happen to have 2
Fictional or real?
Real.
Okay.
Two. Well, yeah. I mean, just general. I'm talking. I have a point.
Okay.
So I have 2 cats at home that I rescued them when they were kittens, and their names are Kennedy and Monroe, for JFK and Marilyn Monroe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll just leave that. But let's go back to real presidents and JFK, 13 Days, Bruce Greenwood.
Uh-huh. So, interesting. 13 Days is a movie starring Kevin Costner. There was another movie starring Kevin Costner that was called JFK. So, Kevin Costner has been in 2 movies about or surrounding JFK. This one
just continues my love for Kevin Costner. I just love him.
Well, this one was specifically about the Cuban Missile Crisis. And what happened during and around the Cuban Missile Crisis. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you saw it. It was I thought a pretty decent movie, and it was pretty critically acclaimed, although it did not do well in box offices at all. So again, is what it is. But it was a good performance by Bruce Greenwood as JFK.
Well, okay, so I got to throw a funny one out there. I thought we had actually talked about this already, but I realized this is in the bloopers edition of the BullCast podcast. Oh. When I talked about Kevin Kline as Ulysses S. Grant in Wild Wild West. I mean,
what episode were we doing with that?
We were going to do an episode that had like top 5 Westerns, and I was going to throw in there how Kevin Kline played multiple roles in this movie, and one of them was the president. And I mean, that movie was entertaining at best, but I just had to throw that one in there that Kevin Kline did play Ulysses S. Grant. That was kind of a steampunk Western movie, but that's all just pure fun. But seriously,
I mean, if you're going to talk about funny,
let's talk about Robin Williams.
Yes, of course. I mean, obviously Robin Williams.
I mean, he can be the genie. He can be Patch Adams. He can be so many wonderful things, but he has played 2 different presidents. Mm-hmm. He's played Eisenhower in The Butler, mm-hmm. and he has played Teddy Roosevelt in Night at the Museum.
Probably,
I think there's 3 of them.
More famously, the Teddy Roosevelt thing than the Eisenhower thing.
Oh, he is the hero of that movie. Mm-hmm. He is wonderful in that.
Yeah. It's no question a great role. Of course, I think there was probably some turmoil around some of the treatment of Roosevelt in that movie or his treatment of other people in that movie. But you can't get around the fact that Robin Williams really nailed it. So it's certainly an awesome example.
Yeah. Tomorrow.
Okay, Annie. She's even got red hair right now.
Yes. FDR. I mean,
yes.
was so crucial in Annie.
Yes. Well, no question about that. And of course, FDR has been played by many, many different actors in many, many different versions of Annie: stage, screen, small screen. I mean, there have been several different versions, but we are talking specifically about our favorite FDR, which is Edward Herrmann, who, of course, is also
Gilmore Girls.
How
did I know you were going to go there?
He actually played FDR in 2 other movies before he played FDR in Annie. He played FDR in something called Eleanor and Franklin, and then he played him again in Eleanor and Franklin, The White House Years. So
very cool.
By the time he got around to Annie, he was like, FDR was like old hat for him.
I got this.
They were like, you want to play FDR? And he was like, yeah, sure. I thought I was FDR.
It's not a bad thing to be. Okay, so talking about another actor who I did not expect to be on a list of playing presidents, mm-hmm. Bill Murray.
Yes. Well, his early career, Murray was just flat out comedies, hilarious. Everything he did was hilarious. But he's gotten more and more quirky and sort of, random in his selections. They always have. There's always there's always some sort of reason behind his selection, but his selections are definitely a little bit more random seeming than they used to. But certainly, him playing FDR in Hyde Park on the Hudson was
which was a British film.
Yeah. Again, not a widely loved movie, but Murray's performance specifically was hailed. People loved him in the movie. They just weren't too necessarily crazy about the movie. I don't know if I don't. I want to throw this word out there. I could be completely the wrong word, but basically the movie is about him. FDR goes to his upper New York home to convalesce. He's sick and he's healing from some sort of illness, and the Queen of England and the King of England and his daughter come to visit FDR, and anyway, it's an interesting premise. Again, Bill Murray's performance is fantastic. It got him. It didn't get him an Oscar nomination. It did get him a Golden Globe nomination, and it was really good. But the movie overall kind of got really kind of got panned.
Well, but we all can agree that we don't necessarily agree with the critics.
Well, as obviously as some of our movie choices, even in this list today, will demonstrate that is true.
Okay, so Nixon is someone who has been portrayed in a lot of movies. I mean, the first one I thought of was that awful movie named Dick. That was the two girls that just wanted to hang out with Nixon and stuff. But we're talking about a little bit more serious one, Frost versus Nixon, or Frost/Nixon. I don't know how you say that.
Yeah, I don't know how. I think it's just Frost Nixon. I think they just say Frost Nixon. Okay. Yeah. I have not ever seen this movie. I've heard that it was good. I've heard that it was a good performance. Cameron's giving it the thumbs up. He says it's great. He says it's the best movie he's ever seen. Cameron, that is a bold statement.
Yeah. So, Mr. Saturday Night Fever, Mr. Grease Lightning, well, he became Bill Clinton.
Yes. Now, when we were putting this on the list, I have seen Primary Colors. I know it as a movie. Listen, Travolta's performance was obviously of Bill Clinton, but if I recall, the character in the book/movie, the book that the movie was based on, and then the movie itself, I don't think they actually called him Clinton. I think it was supposedly a fictional character that the author basically... It was
like Clinton.
Yeah.
But everybody knew.
Everybody knew it was Clinton. So if he's not named Clinton in the movie and y'all are going to call us out on that, then, it's Clinton. Come on. It's Clinton.
There's enough of the internet articles out there that agree with it. So that's why we said it. And I mean, kind of the last one we want to talk about, and I know you're probably going, oh, there's so many more, but we're making this short.
But we're actually not.
Kind of, not really. Another LBJ, Woody Harrelson.
Listen, Woody Harrelson, I love this actor. And the more stuff he has done as he's gone on in his career, the more I like him. And his performance as LBJ was no exception. He did a phenomenal job. But I've watched him since he was Woody on Cheers.
Yeah.
And seen him all through his career, and I think he's got a lot of strong stuff out there. Some really, really garbage stuff too, but a lot of strong stuff.
Okay, Cort, get your fist up. You ready?
Yes.
It's debating time.
We're gonna do it different this week, guys. We're gonna debate. We're gonna argue back and forth. One of us is coming out a winner. And the winner...
We know it's me.
The winner is going to be the one that can convince the other one that their selection for the best fictional president in pop culture history is whoever it is they say it is. And so, one of us is going to walk away a winner. One of us is going to walk away a loser. We'll see who it is.
We might still be debating at the end, but you know what? It'll be fun.
I don't think you're going to end this today, girl. I'm just saying.
Okay.
Let's start with something obvious.
Okay.
There's a movie out there with two fictional presidents in the same movie. Actually, technically 3 fictional presidents in the same movie. 2 ex and 1 current. That movie is...
My Fellow Americans.
My Fellow Americans with Jack Lemmon and...
James
Garner. And so... Obviously, I'm taking Jack Lemmon on this one. Because personally, I like the Jack Lemmon character better, and I think he is a nicer guy in the movie. But also, he can cook, obviously. But
Okay. So I'm taking President Douglas over here, the James Garner character. Okay, yeah, he made a cookbook. Like, come on, no.
You got to do something with that time after you're done being president,
No, President Douglas was cool. I mean, he knew how to handle the ladies. He was a nice man.
He was definitely a ladies' man.
just because he took advantage of the hidden Kennedy doors does not mean anything bad.
I'm just saying. There was definitely some questionable stuff going on in there. And
okay, but no, the biggest thing is, though, Douglas beat Kramer.
Well, Douglas beat Kramer, but then Douglas was beaten by Kramer's vice president the next time around.
That was his vice president. That wasn't Kramer.
Yeah, but I'm just saying. Obviously, Douglas won the office, but then when he got in office, the people were like, well, we don't like you after all. We want Kramer back. Oh, we can't have Kramer? Well, then we'll take his vice president over you because you obviously stink. So get Douglas out of there. Heck, they're ready to take vice president. They're ready to take Kramer's vice presidential leavings over Douglas. Your guy is just he's done. He's out. Boom, knockout. Next candidate.
No. Because Douglas changed the words to "Hail to the Chief," and it was phenomenal. Okay.
The "Hail to the Chief" song does bear witness. You must bear witness to that song. It is a great song. You gonna do it for us?
Yep. Hail to the chief, if you don't, I'll have to kill you. I am the chief, so you better watch your step, you bastards. Whoop, sorry. Sorry, kiddos. Okay. My Fellow Americans, great movie. It really gives you back this whole grumpy old men vibe, except for obviously it's James Garner and not
Mathau.
Yeah.
So I guess, really that competition kind of ends as a draw because really they can't end the movie and win without joining teams and combining their strengths, combining their respective powers to overcome adversity. And ultimately, they end up running at the end of the movie for president and vice president as a team.
Yep.
You never really find out which one's running for president and which one's running for vice president, though.
Douglas, of course, would be president. Come on.
I don't think so. I still say that mine wins on that one. You gotta throw me your next president.
Oh, I got a good one for you.
Okay.
Kevin Kline in the movie Dave. So technically, he is portraying the president because the president has done some naughty stuff and has now put himself into a coma. So yeah. Dave is portraying President Mitchell.
Okay, so is your argument that Dave is a great president?
Yes.
Or that Mitchell was a great president?
My argument is that Dave, stepping in, portraying to be President Mitchell, is a fantastic candidate. Yes, I realize the people did not vote for Dave to be president, but he is taking who they did vote for and making him a much better person.
Yes, he does indeed. It turns out that Mitchell is not a good person and Dave is. And so basically the idea of this movie is that the candidate is or not even the candidate. This person, they basically had to go out and find
he was like the body double, essentially. Yeah. And he's supposed to just kind of wave and not change things up. But oh no, he comes in there and, goes and sees the kids and has a whole private moment when there's a kid off to its side. And a lot of people would be like, oh yeah, press, take a picture of this, me having a one-on-one conversation with a kid. And he's like, no, step back. This is a private moment because he's a good person.
Yes. Okay.
So, I don't know what you can throw at me that's going to beat Dave. He brings in an old friend, sits down with the federal budget and is doing pen to paper, gets his accountant in there, and he is going to try and make it work so he can fund this homeless house. So, what are you going to throw at me?
Okay, well,
what you got?
First of all, let's just assume that I'm going to allow that Dave somehow beats out Kramer, and so I have to find another candidate because, we're short on time, so I guess I'll just go ahead and give to you that Dave does accomplish more as president, and he's not even president. He accomplishes more than the person that he replaced as president, and he probably accomplishes more than Kramer did when Kramer was president. So I'll give you that, but I'm gonna throw a little Andrew Shepard your way.
Oh,
The West Wing, Michael Douglas. He's gonna throw away the bill. He's gonna get the guns. He's gonna send the bill to the Hill that calls for 20% reduction in fossil fuel emissions, and he gets the girl and he gives her some roses too. He is He is everything. He's all things
I mean, I hate
good
that you
and
picked
right.
that because American President is one of my favorite movies. But Dave, come on. The thing is, what the leg he has to stand on is that he is not from a political background, and that he's coming in there with fresh eyes, and he is the voice of the people because he was a people.
Well, see,
he was a people.
That's part of the appeal to the American President. That's part of the appeal to Shepard is when he starts off. Yeah, he is kind of he's been there, done that guy, and he's kind of jaded, and he's sort of that political beast, you know.
He needed a girl to tell him to change.
Well, okay, he didn't change to get her back, you know. He didn't change his mind on Bill 327 or whatever it was to get her back. He tells her so. So, you know, he just realized that he had lost his way. And plus, I'm sorry, but Shepard's speech there at the end in front of the White House press corps when he basically steps in and finally basically tells Bob Rumson off. I mean, that speech is awesome.
I'll give it, that is a good speech. But
my name is Andrew Shepard, and I am the president.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty powerful, but also egotistical.
No, it's just true.
I'm still going for Dave, okay?
Not to mention the fact that Shepard's chief of staff is future President Jed Bartlett. So we'll
You're
get to him
jumping
later.
ahead.
We'll get to him later.
You're jumping ahead. Okay, well, I think clearly Dave won out of that. So moving on to the next.
I mean, you just saying clearly like it's open and shut, and I get no say in it.
I mean, it is what it is.
Okay.
This is my debate.
I will admit to you that Shepard spends the majority of that movie being a great boyfriend, but a pretty bad president.
Yeah, the movie's, I mean, it's a great love story, but yeah, it is not about what he does. I mean, it's kind of like...
at the end, he pulls it together. I'm just saying, at the end, he gets his act together, he gets his priorities straight. But yeah, for the entirety of the movie, he's not a superb president. He's missing the shot on a couple of things. So I'll give you Dave in this round.
I mean, it's when you said that about being a good boyfriend, I love Fitzgerald Grant from Scandal, but that entire show is pretty much more about him falling in love with Olivia Pope and cheating on his wife, and it's so much more on the romance side of it than it really is about his actual presidency. So it's like, I love him as the president, but he's not in my debate because I don't want to be like, oh yeah, Fitzgerald Grant, he's so nice to Olivia, but he's awful to his wife. Okay, well,
since when I beat you, you got to bring out your next challenger. So this time we're saying you beat me, quote unquote, you beat me. So this time I get to call the challenger. My next challenger is going to be President Palmer, David Palmer, Dennis Haysbert. Better known nowadays as the 15% guy, the Allstate guy.
Allstate.
But yeah, he played President Palmer.
Wait, so that's your candidate as the Allstate guy?
He was a fantastic presidential candidate in the TV show, and then he was a fantastic president for at least a little while in the TV show.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So that's President Palmer from 24. Who's your challenger?
I would have to go with President Tom Kirkman from Designated Survivor.
Oh, now that's not fair. Hey. You're using Kiefer Sutherland, who was the main character in my TV show, against my president from his TV show and your TV show, or something like that.
We didn't set any rules about this debate, okay? The gloves are off.
Okay. So here's my basic argument for President Palmer. He's just a stand-up guy. He makes decisions that are politically just bad idea for him. He's constantly fighting against people who are encouraging him to make a bad decision because it is a good decision politically, but it's not necessarily the morally right decision. And he always makes the ethically, morally right decision, even if it's not necessarily politically the best decision to make. And that's the kind of guy I want as president.
Okay, well... So Kirkman's kind of an underdog, and it shows proof that he was able to adapt. He is sitting there, and the world has fallen apart. He never thought he would be in this position as U.S. Secretary of Housing and Urban Development to now president like that, and he has nobody else with him. So he is a survivor. Yeah. He not only is trying to make sure he's holding everything together and not losing it, but he's also trying to uncover what actually happened. He's not satisfied with just like, oh, okay, this is what it is, and like pushing it under the rug, because he knows he deserves to make sure that he knows what's going on.
Yeah.
He's taking care of stuff, taking care of business, but finding out the truth.
Okay, I will argue only this, that he serves as a fictional president in an extraordinary fictional time, which nobody has ever served it through an actual disaster like what he serves through in that TV show. And that,
but how someone acts when things are falling apart versus how when it's perfect. That is a true test of character.
It puts a lot of shine on his character. The way he handles it, and the fact that it's such an extraordinary situation. He handles himself over and over and over again. He has obstacles thrown in front of him in terms of just even being able to do his job as this president that has been thrown into this situation that he didn't even ask for. And time again, he finds a way to overcome those obstacles. So,
and the vultures are around him wanting him to just get out of there.
Absolutely. And I also have to say, to juxtapose Kiefer Sutherland's Jack Bauer versus Kiefer Sutherland's Tom Kirkman, I mean, the two characters could not be more different. And Kiefer Sutherland's demeanor as Tom Kirkman versus his demeanor as Jack Bauer, he is just pure violence on the screen. You just look at him and he just looks like he's about to kick somebody's butt. Versus Tom Kirkman, who starts off the series of Designated Survivor as almost meek. And, and this is played by the same person. It's really a pretty impressive sort of variation in
Keep talking. I love how you're selling my candidate.
I mean, you win on this one. I talked myself into it.
Woo! What's the score, Cam?
Cort has 1 win, and you've got 2.
It's another win for me.
Let's talk world disasters, Katie.
Oh, yes. World disasters.
I've got President Beck, Morgan Freeman, Deep Impact. I mean, listen, you can't, Morgan Freeman, basically, it's as though God was playing the president. I mean, Morgan Freeman has done it all. And if
Morgan Freeman to voice and narrate, especially 2020, I'd love to hear that. But do I really want him as my president?
Yes, of course you do. Would you rather listen to any president that you have available to you talk on the news or anything else, or listen to Morgan Freeman?
We will not go quietly into the night. We will not vanish without a fight. President Whitmore, Independence Day. Can you beat it? No, you can't.
Well, I mean, Morgan Freeman is prepared to predict the coming disaster for the world and make a plan for preventing it before it ever actually reaches Earth's surface. And on top of that, have a solution just in case the disaster does occur.
Oh, okay, so he's able to prepare. But my candidate, played by Bill Pullman, showed up.
Yeah, well, so they didn't just show up. These giant ships coming at you from...
he didn't have time to prepare because who's going to prepare that these big old ships are going to show up?
Because he had his head somewhere. He had his head in the sand is what it was.
How do you expect that these big old spheres are going to come up?
Jeff Goldblum. He knew. He was warning people. He was letting them know.
But he thought he was crazy. So yes, the moral of this is that you should always listen to Jeff Goldblum. He knows what he's talking about. But Bill Pullman as President Whitmore, I mean, that speech, he ready to get into the fighter plane with him. He's heading straight to the ship.
I see what's happening here.
He sacrificed
himself. He gives a
himself.
great speech, and then he puts on a flight suit, and Katie gets all fluttery because you just like him in the flight suit.
It's not that he gave a great speech, because there's a lot of people that can give great speeches, but he went into action. So it was words and action. He didn't say, you can do it, I believe in you. Now I'm going to go hide in a bunker while you go do this. He's like, get me in the plane. Let me go up there. Let me fight them. Listen. How can you compare? I mean, in that speech, it's still every 4th of July, people go back to that speech because it was so great.
I don't know. I mean, I liked the speech, but every 4th of July, I go back to it. I don't go back to it every 4th of July.
Okay, you at least see several memes around 4th of July about Independence Day.
Listen,
now, I didn't see the new one that came out. I heard it wasn't that great, so I didn't want to taint my vision of the first one.
ID4 something or other. I can't even remember what it was called.
I don't know. But, I mean, come on. You cannot... I mean, just a great... Yes, his mistake was he didn't listen to Jeff Goldblum. I admit that.
Basically, ladies and gentlemen, Katie is urging you to vote against God. Just remember that.
Oh, that was a low blow. Come on.
Hey, anything I can do to win. Anything I can do to win. I'm on a losing streak here. You've got 3 out of our 4 that I've taken a beating on.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'll let you pick your last person.
I mean, I think it's obvious. There's only one president that could truly lead America through the best of times and the worst of times. He's shown his political instincts to be true and righteous throughout the years.
Are you talking about mine?
No, I'm talking about Josiah Bartlett, the West
Who?
Wing. Jed Bartlett, the West Wing. President Bartlett, come on.
I haven't seen that. What's that about?
Oh, you're kidding. You've seen it. Everybody's seen it. It is.
So that's why we should vote for him? We should pick him because everybody's seen it? It's trendy?
Because he demonstrates over the course of 5, 6, 7 seasons. I don't even know how long that show was on the air. That he's actually a good president. For what presidents should do, he actually does a good job. And most of our other examples of presidents, you have very little evidence of how they actually, I don't know, what's the verb form of president? How they actually
do their job.
Presidente.
Presidente. El dente.
You've got plenty of evidence of how Jed Bartlett would actually serve and preside as president. And he does a phenomenal job over and over and over again. He's a great president.
I mean, he was good. That was a great show. Everyone loved him. That was, Martin Sheen?
Yeah.
Sounds a little crazy. Tiger's blood.
Listen, you can't hold Charlie against Martin. Come on now.
Well, okay, but, I mean, this guy, he was Han Solo. Mr. Harrison Ford, President James Mitchell. See, there's a good thing with people named Mitchell as the last name for president. I mean, not only was he a veteran of the Vietnam War, he is on Air Force One.
Yes.
He has gone overseas to say we do not negotiate with terrorists. He is taking care of policies. He is on Air Force One. These terrorists get on there, and he's got his wife on there. He's got his daughter. He's got all of his people he's worked with. He's got press all around.
He spends the majority of the movie hiding in the belly.
No. He doesn't.
Yes,
they try and send him in, put him in a pod to get him off the plane to protect him, and he's like, "No, I'm not a weakling. I will fight." He's like a Bill Pullman. He's like, "I'm going to say this speech and I'm going to go into action." Because then he fakes them all out. Thinks he's gone in the pod, but he's hiding. He's bringing back all that military training. And
training?
He's smart.
Come on.
The thing is, what defines a character is the ability to adapt. He wasn't all like, "Oh, I'm the president. I'm like one mind focused." He's like, "Okay, I've got to do what I can. I can't be dainty and be like, I'm the president." He went into action.
Yeah.
Cut the fuel line.
Okay, sure. But, I mean, he dumped some fuel. He searched through some bags and got a satellite phone. But, I mean, he was hiding. He was playing cat and mouse downstairs for so long. It was like, come on, dude,
wasn't.
Go punch somebody.
No, I mean, he was being strategic because he knew if he just all busted up in there like the Kool-Aid man, like, "Hey, I'm here."
Hey, Kool-Aid. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. He couldn't do that. He had to be strategic and get in stealth mode and adapt and figure out what to do.
Okay, but let me ask you this. Because this is about best pop culture president, right? Who was he thinking about when he failed to get on that pod and jump off that plane?
He was thinking about getting the terrorists taken care of and gone and taking care of the people on the plane.
He was thinking about his wife and his daughter. He was being a great father. He was being a great husband, but he was not thinking about the American people. The president has a higher calling to think about the American people, to think about the nation.
How would it look if he was a coward?
If they had captured him and shot him on film or something.
Yeah, but he
or
also
just killed everybody.
He had
on
a
the plane.
lose-lose situation because if he had gone in the pod, then he would have been a coward that he left his wife and children and his cabinet up there and the press there.
He has a higher calling as the president of the United States. Let's get real for just a second here. Consider what any man, from Trump all the way back to George Washington, consider what kind of responsibility they're taking on. This is not a responsibility that anyone should take on lightly.
No, it's a huge weight on their shoulders.
It's huge, and you've got a responsibility for the entire country. And in that moment, rather than protecting himself for the good of the country, he stayed on the plane because he was worried about his wife and daughter. Commendable. As a father and a husband, absolutely commendable. I have never been president of the United States, but I think as president of the United States in that moment, he shirked his duty.
He knew that he was going to take care of it. He knew that he was going to have his cake and eat it too. No. That he was going to protect his family, protect all those people on the plane, and protect the nation.
I'm not a betting man. Maybe he is, but I'm not a betting man.
Okay, fine. If that doesn't sell you, I have my candidate. Harrison Ford and Bill Pullman together.
You can't combine presidents.
Yes, I can.
You can't.
There are no rules.
Fine, then I take all of my presidents and combine them into one super president.
No, this is not Transformers. No, not Transformers, okay? But if you're going down that argument, then I say, okay, well, Harrison Ford and Bill Pullman. Boom.
I mean, I feel like unfairly I won this round and then you pulled out some sort of brass knuckles here at the end.
Welcome to debates.
All right. It looks like the final score is Cort with 1 win and Katie with 4, I think. That last one was a little vague, but you are Madam President, so I'm going to give it to you.
That is our version of the 2020 debate. Who was the winner? I say it's Jed Bartlett, but she's got the Pullmanator out there, the combination Han Solo Bill Pullman thing going. So, I mean, ultimately, you'll have to be the judge, but I think we have, for now, I think we've probably talked this thing to death.
But it's been fun.
It has been fun. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Obviously, you've gotten to the end of another BullCast podcast, but this episode has been special. Let us know if you enjoyed it. Let us know if you want us to do more like these, where we just take a break from finance and take a break from all of the other craziness that seems to be going on in the world these days and just really get down and dirty about what's important. Our birthdays and fictional TV and movie characters. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've had fun, but for now, I think we've given you enough to be going on with. So for now, I'm Cort.
I'm Katie, or Madam President to you.
Hail to the Chief.